starting out.
Welcome back inside Section 925 Podcenter. Tripper Ortman and Josh from the 209 coming down from the 209 joining us.
Live and in person.
And we're welcome back in the Podcenter. Well, actually, for the first time, not welcome back. Justin Alumbaugh, head coach at De La Salle for the football team. Welcome inside, Justin.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Good. Is it on? There. We back on? There we go. There you go. It does. Sometimes it has to be on. Justin, thanks for coming down. I know it's hot out here. Yesterday, trying to find a parking spot was difficult, but appreciate you coming back down in today. First, we got to talk about Friday night because a rare and unusual thing happened for De La Salle football on Friday night. You guys took a loss. It was the last second 39-yard field goal. You guys played East Salt Lake City High School, who was the Utah State champions. And talk about that. You know, De La Salle doesn't lose a lot. So a night like that, talk about what led to the loss, but more, how do you handle something like that at De La Salle where you're so used to winning? How does the team take a loss?
Well, we lost because they're more physical than us, and those guys did a really good job. Their offensive and defensive line coaches were really keyed in on getting their guys off the ball, and you know, we just didn't play well enough to beat a team that was as good as they are. We had a couple turnovers on the 10 and 15-yard line, and we just can't do things like that. And, you know, you got to tip your cap to them. You got to tip your cap to them because those guys they were more physical than us. And to be honest, we didn't deserve to win. I mean, they kicked the last-second field goal, but we really didn't even deserve to win. They had 520 yards on us, and we had 260. And we gave up 450 yards rushing. And you know, we knew they were running almost every time. It was just something that we couldn't stop. To be honest, they reminded us a lot of ourselves. And you know, they're just more physical than us on the offensive and defensive lines. They actually came down and visited us, their coaching staff, about 5 years ago, and tried to emulate a lot of the stuff that we do along the lines. And now I'm kind of regretting having them down a while ago. But you know, like I said, you know, they earned the victory more than we did, and you know, we just got to get back to work. And you know, we were down at films and running and lifting yesterday. It was a difficult day for the boys, and you know, we just got to be better. We're not physical enough, and we're not tough enough. So we'll work on that this week as much as we can.
Is there extra pressure? What I want to do today a little bit is kind of what's inside De La Salle, right? Because we don't get to hear from you a lot. Cross Times pretty much abandoned high school football coverage. Unfortunately, I don't know if anybody else would get that newspaper, but for high school football scores. You know, on the inside, is there, given the streak, given the nationwide notoriety, is there extra pressure on De La Salle football players to win? Do you think, institutionally in the program? And how do you, if so, how do you guys handle that?
I'd be lying if I said there wasn't. I mean, there is, and you know, a lot of the pressure just comes from, you know, the success that we've had over the years. You know, I played there, my brother played there, and we get a lot of alumni back. And you know, when, you know, like on Friday night, you know, my phone was blowing up after the game. Not about the loss. That, you know, we had a lot of alumni that just didn't like the way our guys played. We just didn't play hard enough. We didn't play physically enough, and you know, in today's day and age, it's not real politically correct to say that, you know, putting pressure on the kids, but I think it's a good thing, to be honest. High expectations are a good thing as long as you're working hard to achieve it. It is something that we have to manage, and the way that we manage it is we don't talk about wins and losses or anything like that. We really focus in on what we're trying to do every day. That is a cliche, but it really is all that we're talking about. You know, we met as a coaching staff today. You know, what are we doing about practice this week, and what are we doing on Monday, what are we doing on Tuesday, and you know, we got to get back at it, get the helmets back on, and you know, find a way to make sure that we're getting better and focus on the day-to-day grind, which we haven't done a good enough job of.
And so for next week, I mean, what's the message moving forward to the team, and how much of the team is just self-motivation from those guys? Because you know, I think guys that go to De La Salle understand the program they're going into, and how much self-motivation do the players have?
Well, the players are motivated. You know, the kids want to be good, but you know, there's a difference between wanting to be good and trying hard and really putting in the extra effort, watching the extra film. You know, because the only person that can really judge whether you're giving 100% is you know, yourself. And that's something that we can tell a lot of the times when we're trying to make sure that our kids are really working. You know, but we inform them that we're only going to be as good as their efforts are. We're only going to be as good as what they want to put in. And you know, we got to do a better job of working in practice, and that's something that we're focusing on this week. We got to make sure we put in better practice. Our practices were a little better last week. We were a little happy with it, but it was almost a little too late because that team was really good. And we squeaked by 2 weeks ago against Servite. To be honest, we didn't deserve to win that game either. It's kind of blind luck, to be honest. And our practice habits and the lack of physicality and the lack of film watching that a lot of our guys have had caught up to us. And like I said, we didn't deserve to have the victory. They outplayed us.
Given what you mentioned about Servite, and you're talking about the challenges getting these guys in to watch more film, and maybe they didn't have a little bit lackluster habits. You're kind of glad to take that loss and use it as a learning opportunity sometimes.
Whenever you got to take a wake-up call whenever you're given it. We had one last year when we flew out to we played US Trinity in Texas, and we had a really good team last year. It's one of the best teams that we've ever had, and our practices were pretty good, but there was we weren't doing all the little things as well as we really should, and all the little things are something that we pride ourselves on and doing really well at Salle, and that caught up to us, and that was a wake-up call. And it really woke up last year's team, and they ended up having a phenomenal year. We won the state championship against the Corona Centeno team that was ranked #1 in the country. They were incredible, and it took a great effort, and it took us doing all the little things well in order to beat those guys. And I'm hoping that this is an opportunity for our kids to kind of wake up and understand, give a real introspective look on what they've been doing well and what they've been doing poorly. We got great kids. Our kids are wonderful. We got a lot of support from the school and from the parents. They just need to work harder.
Josh mentioned challenges ahead, and next week you face Antioch, and you're staying locally the rest of the year, at least until the state championship if you get back there. How do you deal with Najee Harris?
You can't deal with him. You got to deal. He's the #1 player in the country for a reason, and he deserves all the accolades he can get. I've met him a few times. He's a wonderful young man, and I'm really happy for him, and he deserves all the accolades. Nobody on our team matches up one-on-one with him, and we're not going to try and match up one-on-one with him. We got to make sure that we're reading our keys, and we got to collapse their offensive line. Make sure that the space that he has to run is limited, and rally to the football. We got to get multiple guys on him, and sometimes that doesn't even work. I've been watching film all morning. It's kind of a nightmare.
You mentioned that you went through the program, and what are some of the things now that you're on the other side and you're running the program, maybe taken from Coach Ladisser or just being a former player, that you wanted to instill in the program?
I wanted to continue the hard work and the accountability. That's something that I really took from the program. I was a pretty arrogant kid. And I was pretty, things kind of came a little easier than they should have for me, and I got a pretty good wake-up call from Coach Ladd, and that was something I remember, and that's something that I want to make sure that a lot of our kids get as well. Just the idea that you aren't the center of the universe. You are accountable, and we want to make sure that our kids get a real, authentic team experience where your efforts matter. Whether we have 60 guys on our team, and one of my players is our best, and one of our players is number 60 talent-wise, but all their efforts matter. In scout team and how much they're encouraging their teammates, all of our kids, the work that they put in, it really matters, and that's something I want to instill in them, every day.
So when you get a freshman in, what's sort of the fundamental building block? Is it that accountability, or what are you trying to hammer into these guys as freshmen so when they get to the senior level, they can compete on the national level?
Yeah, our lower level staff do a great job. They're all alum as well, and they do an incredible job of instilling accountability from day one. And they learn if you're falling asleep in religion class, you're not playing. You're forgetting your homework all the time. You're not coming out to practice. If you're not coming out to practice, you're not going to play. And they learn, education and your behavior around the community and your behavior in school is far more important to us than winning football games. And they learn that pretty quickly. By the time they get to us on varsity, it's actually, my job's a lot easier. As our freshman and JV staff do a great job, and both those guys, both our head coaches and both of our staffs are littered with guys that played at De La Salle. So it's a pretty unique community. Something I really enjoy.
How tough is it? You guys have to search out games. And Campolindo was in here yesterday talking about how they called 29 different teams who all turned them down for a Campolindo game, right? And with all the changes that are happening right now in football around the state and competitive equity, whatever that means, Campos had to search out games they wouldn't normally schedule. Do you guys have a hard time scheduling games? That's my first question. Second question is, how hard is it to get together and really do the travel? What impact does it have on the kids?
It is. It's getting really difficult to find games, to be honest. It's just, especially in the area, there's not a lot of excitement to play us from a lot of teams. There are a few teams in the area that definitely always answer the call, and you know, a lot of times it's difficult to find a schedule a lot of times because the weeks won't match up, and sometimes we have a week 6 open and another team only has a week 2. You know, we're willing to travel, but you know, we're not a traveling circus, and you know, we don't like our kids missing school. I mean, we only want to do one travel game, one game where we travel per year. You know, this year we went down to LA and Irvine, and our kids missed 2 days of school. That's hard on teenagers, you know, and you know, they come back, they have to have all their homework done, they have to be ready and prep for the following week. It's a difficult thing, and you know, we're allowed one travel game per year from our school, and we firmly support that. And you know, a lot of people come up and be like, why in New Jersey and then Florida and then Texas? I go, these are teenagers. You know, some of these kids are 15 years old, and that's not something that we're going to do. It's just too great of an impact. And you know, it's a school. These are high schoolers, you know, and you know, they have homework to do, and you know, they need to go to bed, and you know, that's not something that we can do. It's becoming challenging, you know, to get the schedule going, but we'll figure it out.
How do you help the students balance their academics with their sports? Because it is a difficult thing. And you go to college. In their college program, there's study table, there's a lot of things that you can do. What does De La Salle do to make sure these kids stay up with their homework?
Well, our teachers do an incredible job. And I teach there as well, and if ever there's a time where any of our students are struggling, I mean, just, you know, if they miss like a homework assignment, the teacher will immediately email me or text me or grab me in the hallway, and those kids are immediately going to tutoring before school, lunch, after school. We don't start our practice for an hour and 10 minutes after school even ends, so they have ample tutoring time. Some of our kids, if they're struggling, they have mandatory tutoring. Grades do come first, and this, you know, it's not something that we just kind of give lip service to. It's something that we really focus on. Our essentially vice principal's my sister. She's my boss, and she doesn't really know anything about football, and she doesn't really care much about football. And if our kids are struggling with grades, I'm going to hear about it.
Of the local teams you play, is there a rival? Is there somebody that you look at? Is it, you know, like Pittsburgh or Monte Vista or Clayton Valley at this point? Is there somebody that kids look at or you look at and say, hey, that's a team that we want to play locally? Pittsburgh's always been a real challenge for us. You know, we have a long history, and I mean, even me, you know, we had some great games when I played in the mid-90s against Pittsburgh. Sarah High School is another school